Well, I know it's late, but better than never. Today we're going to talk about Bill Cosby being released from prison. Today I'm going to do a legal analysis on why I believe Cosby is innocent. Now, I'm not a lawyer here, so don't take this as legal advice. Take this as free advice. I might not know everything, but I know broad strokes of the law since I am a criminal justice major. So let's get into it. Bill Cosby released from prison after conviction overturned. Cosby was released from prison after the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania vacated his 2018 conviction on sexual assault charges. Sentenced to 10 years in 2018. Reason why he was released because the panel of Supreme Court judges from Pennsylvania, they ruled that there was a vast violation of Cosby's due process rights when he was criminally charged and convicted. A decade after a previous prosecutor had declined to prosecute him in order to urge him to sit for a civil deposition instead. This, however, was used against him when a new prosecutor took over a decade later. He's put through 2 trials, convicted, then the court overturned it. Cosby has made his response to the Supreme Court's decision, and has also caused a lot of public outrage and debates. Is Cosby innocent? Is Cosby guilty? And I'm going to do a legal analysis as to why he is innocent. There was also the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, they also ruled that the conviction was also based on tainted witness testimony. And a lot of news sites aren't talking about that. In the second trial, there were like 4 other witnesses that took the stand. But the problem was that majority of their cases fall outside the statute of limitations. So the prosecutors can't even bring their cases to court. So it kind of makes their testimony kind of irrelevant because you can't really dig into their cases because the statute of limitations prevents it. So that's why their testimony is somewhat tainted. Are they reliable? Are juries supposed to hear witnesses that have allegations that are outside the statute of limitations like 50 years ago? They also barred a retrial of the case. Cosby's 5th Amendment and 14th Amendment rights were violated. However, the decision was not unanimous. It was a 4-3 decision. We're going to explain why Cosby's innocent. We're going to explain why he's innocent. I just have to find the article. Let's see. So in 2005, Cosby, a young Temple University sports administrator, had reported she had been drugged and assaulted by the entertainer. Castor, an opting not to pursue a case, announced his decision in a news release to cite insufficient, credible, admissible evidence. That release The only written record of Castor's decision did not mention the deal with Cosby or his lawyer, nor did it mention the Cosby potential civil testimony. So right away, Cosby is innocent because Bruce Castor, he opted not to charge Cosby because there was insufficient evidence in the case. You're going to criminal court, they have to prove your case beyond reasonable doubt. And if you have insufficient evidence, and you cannot, you don't have probable cause to charge someone with a crime, that person is still presumed innocent because you need evidence to prove someone guilty. That's kind of a lot of problem. That's my problem with this situation, with these like 60 women accusing Cosby. All they have is just statements and accusations, but no physical evidence. And Constant has no credible evidence, so she couldn't even make a case against Cosby. So right there, he's innocent. So a new DA came into the office, and it was like Kevin Steele, and he kind of went back on that agreement because he thought it wasn't legally binding. So he used Cosby's deposition statements against him, which that violated the deal that Cosby made with Castor. The deal that Cosby made with Castor was an immunity deal. The prosecutor grants you immunity. The office has to abide by that for eternity. But this new DA did not. And before you are charged with before you are tried for a crime, you have to be given due process. And Bill Cosby was not given due process. Without due process, everything after that is irrelevant. Even though he was convicted guilty in 2018, without due process, that guilty verdict is invalid. And since that guilty verdict is now invalid, the presumption of evidence he once had has now, that presumption of innocence that he once had has now been restored. But let's go into this deposition, see what I think about it. On Andrea Constand, when did you first develop your romantic interest in Andrea? Probably the first time I saw her. Apparently Andrea came to the house. They went upstairs, he got pills, he brought them down there, and he offered them to Andrea, and she took it after examining them. Based on the sexual encounter, questionnaire said, you're not telling us that you verbally asked for permission. Cosby said, you didn't do it verbally. He said the action is my hand on her midriff, which is skin. I'm not lifting up any clothing. I don't remember fully what it is, but it's there. I can feel I got her skin is just above the hand, and it's just above where you can go under the pants. He doesn't hear anything. He doesn't hear her say anything. I don't feel her say anything. And so I continue to go into the air that's somewhere between permission and rejection, and he did not stop. Maybe she feels uncomfortable. She doesn't want to say anything. Maybe she is drugged and stuff like that. I don't know. He said he got quadrilades from a doctor. He says that Cosby also states that yes, he did give drugs to victims in this case, but says they're consensual. Now, there is a lot of incriminating stuff on here. There is. Maybe he did do the crime, maybe he didn't. What I'm confused with is why these accusers went to Cosby's house in the first place. Why are they forming a relationship with Cosby? Was their sexual encounter consensual? Was it not? Somewhere between. Yeah, so there is a lot of incriminating stuff on here. Is it consensual? Is it not? This is what the jury has to decide. And in court, it's innocent until proven guilty. So if Cosby says something is consensual until the prosecution proves it otherwise beyond reasonable doubt. But they were not able to do that in the original case that Bruce Castor was on. But anyway, these depositions, yeah, they're incriminating, but they don't matter because they were ruled inadmissible by the Supreme Court because Cosby's rights were violated. He made a deal, but the attorney went back on it, and he was not supposed to. So they could have opted to retry Cosby here without these depositions and without the other witnesses, but I don't think that the prosecution would really have a case here. Maybe Cosby, maybe he's morally guilty, but due to the fact that there's insufficient evidence in the original case, Cosby is presumed innocent. And the fact that the Supreme Court overrided the jury verdict, that makes the guilty verdict invalid. It makes these last two trials pretty much non-existent. The Supreme Court said that he should not have been charged from the beginning. And that kind of restores his presumption of innocence. We're going to go into the public outrage. District Attorney Kevin Steele, who made a decision to arrest Cosby, he said, Cosby was free on a procedural issue that is irrelevant to the facts of the crime. What do you mean it's irrelevant? He violated his due process rights. He also said that Cosby was convicted by a jury, who was found guilty by a jury of his peers. But yeah, that's because he cheated. He broke the law, and you cannot enforce the law if you're the one that breaks it. When it says my stomach is lurching, I'm deeply distressed about the injustice. Those rights were violated. What do you think was going to happen? Lisa Bloom says he is not released because he is not innocent. He is released because the prosecutor promised him a deal years ago. But he is innocent. If a prosecutor promised him years ago not to charge him, he is innocent. If the Supreme Court overturns your guilty verdict, you are innocent. He is innocent. Amber Tamblyn, she says she's furious at this news. First up, retried, convicted in the Me Too era, which I just hated. I like the idea of survivors coming together, but when people start falsely accusing people on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, it just becomes ridiculous. But yeah, I hate the mainstream media because they're all saying Cosby always not innocent, always not exonerated. But yes, he is. He is innocent. His guilty verdict was overridden. The original prosecutor had no evidence against him, and these 60 accusers, well, 59 of them failed to take their case to court because the statute of limitations has expired. And the only reason why the one did take her case to court was because the DA, Kevin Steele, used Bill Cosby as an election ploy. He built up Cosby as a monster. He's a rapist. Then the fans elected him, and then he announced he's going to pursue charges. It's just an election ploy, politics. Based on doing the legal analysis here, that's what people have to do, the legal analysis. Many Americans out there don't know the law. Under the law, he's innocent. He is innocent. Bruce Castor said it himself. If you're a believer in victims' rights, you have to believe Cosby is innocent. You have to believe that everyone should get due process regardless of who they are. Under the law, he's innocent. Maybe not morally. Maybe that's what these news sites are saying. But under the law, Bill Cosby is innocent. There's insufficient evidence to begin with. The 2 trial verdicts were overruled by the Supreme Court, which that's called a reversible error. It means they found something that affects your conviction, and they had to fix that. I mean, they could have retried the guy, they could have kept him in jail, but they barred a retrial to overturn his conviction. That means they found something that exonerates him. Even if it's a procedural issue, not really an evidence issue. But Cosby's innocent. Maybe not morally, but under the law, he is. Right now, he can buy a gun. He can get a job, rent an apartment. He can be a foster parent. He can vote. Cosby's innocent here. We'll see what happens with R. Kelly. We'll see what happens with Harvey Weinstein. If their convictions get overturned and R. Kelly gets acquitted, maybe something's going on here with this Me Too movement. I'm really starting to hate it. This has been your somewhat legal analysis. I'm not a real lawyer. I'm just trying to put the puzzle pieces together. But based on my opinion, I think Cosby is innocent. Doesn't mean he did not do the crime. That doesn't mean he's not criminally responsible.